So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to toss an example up of using an object, or not using an object, but creating our own kinds of objects. We actually saw an example of creating our own kind of objects last week when we made enumerations. Remember what an enumeration is? It is a user-defined, well, not necessarily user-defined, but we can, as a programmer, be the user and define enumerations, which are types. But enumerations aren't the only kinds of types that we as a programmer can describe to C#. We also have classes. So we haven't really said much of anything about classes other than the fact that we have one right here in line 7, but we haven't really described what it does. And we've also said, I've been trying to throw out the terminology when talking about things like list. A list is a class. I can prove that to you by hovering over it. And unfortunately, it looks like Visual Studio's IntelliSense doesn't actually have the keyword class anywhere in the pop-up menu, so that's kind of disappointing. But still, list is a class. If you don't believe me, look it up on MSDN. So let's go ahead and talk about how we can create our own classes. I'm going to toss the syntax up here on the screen just to give people a perspective of where we're going with this. If you don't understand the syntax right now, that's fine. Just look at the characters that I'm typing out and know that we will be going over everything character by character. To set up this example, recall that in the previous class we had a list of string with product names with a list of, I think, decimals, product prices. You guys remember this, right? Where we have product names and product prices, which are two lists. The only relationship between these two lists are the fact that we would add the same amount of items to product names and product prices and then associate them by having the two things happen to have the same index. Well, this is actually a problem, and it's a problem that classes and object-oriented programming can solve for us. So I'm going to rewrite this example after I add a product. So product 1 and product prices add blah. Okay, so this is fairly poor code. It's poor code because we have two objects that sort of represent the same sort of data that's related, but they aren't actually related in any way to themselves. So let's create another class. Now, this isn't the best way to define a class, but it is the simplest bit of syntax that I can use at the point to demonstrate what I'm talking about.